here.
Oh, I found the move snore.
Nick, I have a question about Zoom. When
Yeah.
you're like running a meeting or whatever and there's a waiting room, how does it show up when people are like waiting to be let in? Like, does it pop up or do you have to check it?
I don't know if it pops up, but what I do is just have like the participant sidebar open.
Okay.
And then as like people come in, their name will appear and then a button that says allow or cancel.
Okay.
So
Cool.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a meeting a while ago that I thought was with like my uncle and grandparents that I thought was at one time, but I was actually half an hour late and my uncle didn't let me in.
Oh no.
So I was wondering how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm a little afraid for the now everything has to be password protected, so I'm a little nervous for like the older folks who aren't as tech savvy, like navigating.
Yeah.
Totally. Mook says she'll be joining close to 11:10. So she'll be a little late. And one of my students in my section said that she wanted to read towards the end. So I've cut out your David Eggers piece unless you really want it there. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that was just to fill if needed. So that's
cool. Good. So by one of my students, I met Rebecca.
Oh yeah, I saw that, and I've got the agenda open.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to see
David Eggers. Or wait, who wrote Zaytoon again?
Dave Eggers.
Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't David Eggers. It was the main character. Never mind. Continue. Sorry.
I think Rebecca's book is really beautiful, Nick.
Cool.
Yeah, it's she's a poet, so she that's what she did. She turned her poem into a picture book.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and she did a collage, right? Because of the stuff you gave her, so it's lovely.
I wonder if that's a good way to get folks into making a picture book that feel daunted by it. Like write a poem first, and then just write it as one stanza, and then break it into several like couplets or something. And those are just pages, and then like that's a draft.
I mean, maybe. I feel like my students are always really resistant to poetry. Like most of them don't seem to like poetry. Rebecca came in as a poet, you know.
That's true. Yeah.
She didn't need convincing. Yeah. But the majority of my students don't like poetry. And then I don't, you know, we have one section, the novel in verse, and then I don't spend too much time trying to convince them to like something they don't like. So I'm just sort of like,
Yeah.
You are going to help us deal with these.
Who? Not sure who's joined us.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi. Oh yeah, so I posted it on Facebook, and then I just sent it to my students via email. Did you notice my U is down right now? What an inconvenient time to be down.
I think it's usually down Sunday mornings.
Okay.
Maintenance. It's scheduled maintenance Sunday mornings on my U. Grades are due. Oh my god.
Right? Yeah, like the day before grades are due and our event, I was like, oh no. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
I'm gonna hop off. Yes, Sarah.
Yeah.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Hi.
Hello, Rebecca.
I like your puppet.
Thank you. I'm also here as a human, but
Okay.
oh, wait. I'm here. I'm so glad that you're able to join. I'm so excited to hear the final version of your book.
Yeah. I couldn't get the pages together, so they're kind of just like this right now.
Still good. Still very
I'm just
excited.
gonna be like da da da, like lift them off one at a time. So
It's gonna be beautiful. I was
Thanks.
telling Nick and Sean about it before you came.
I hope you didn't get their expectations too high.
I told them it was the best book in the universe, and I was creating a new Pulitzer for KidLitLab.
Oh no, that's it's not that good.
No, it's better. Oh, I see Abby and Teresa is here. For those of you who don't know Abby, Abby Rumbolsky. She also teaches in CNI. Should we get started, Nick?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Oh, looks like people are coming in. We'll let them keep streaming in if they'd like. But hello, welcome. Hi, everyone.
Good morning, Papa Denise.
Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Sean. It's nice that I feel like we should, maybe we should go around and say who we are. Does that maybe sound like a good first step? Welcome first for coming to our KidLitLab end of the year children's story hour. Yay. I think we'll have some children here today. We see a couple coming in already. We did post this on Facebook and sent it to our students and asked them to invite their family and friends. So this is going to be a family-friendly event, hence Puppet Denise. Yes. Okay. So before we get into the agenda and all of that, maybe we should go around for anyone who wants to say their name and their favorite. Nick, what should their favorite thing be? What should they say?
Their favorite summertime food.
That's what?
Yes. Okay. If you'd like, please introduce yourself, your name, and your favorite summertime food. I'll go first since I asked, or maybe I guess Nick kind of asked, but I'm gonna go first. I'm Denise, and one of my favorite summertime foods is banseo. Do you know what that is? It's a Vietnamese crepe. It's made with rice flour and turmeric and I can't remember what else for the crepe part. But inside there's shrimp and pork and bean sprout, and you eat it with a lot of fresh herbs, and you dip it in fish sauce, and it's really good. So it's also when it's grilling season, I think it's also banseo season. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's my thing. Who wants to go?
I can go. My name is Nick, and my favorite summertime food is probably tomatoes.
Good answer. I had a really good tomato yesterday.
My name is Sean, and my favorite summertime food is just popsicles.
Anyone else?
I can go. I'm Sarah, and the first thing that popped to mind was hot dogs, though I really don't think that's the right answer to that question for me, but hot dogs, you know.
There's no wrong answer today as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a wrong answer for you today, right now.
Yeah, I think it's the wrong
My
answer.
favorite food is rice. My favorite.
Ooh, who said rice?
Me.
Oh, that's a great answer. Oh, yummy. Any other favorite summertime?
I'm Wild.
Hi, Wild. Everyone say hello to Wild.
Hi, Wild.
So,
Wild. Oh, I see Teresa here too with Abby.
Sarah.
Hi, Teresa. Teresa and I had a wonderful meeting the
I'm
other
Sequoia.
day. Hi, Sequoia.
And my favorite summertime food is probably Dippin' Dots.
Oh, yes. Dippin' Dots. Yes. Oh, my gosh. I want to steal that answer. Is that okay?
You can say me.
I'm Teresa, and my favorite summertime food is watermelon and Dippin' Dots.
I think very close to Dippin' Dots. I'm Hannah, and I love ice cream trucks. I think they're so fun. So that might be my favorite summertime thing.
Wait, I heard the ice cream truck part. What was the part before that?
Just that's close to Dippin' Dots, I think.
Oh.
And that my name is Hannah.
We did chase down an ice cream truck one time.
And I'm Becca, and I'll also choose Dippin' Dots because that was an amazing choice.
Oh, now I really want Dippin' Dots.
I know, me too.
Yeah. I feel like my face mask kind of looks like Dippin' Dots.
My mom hates Dippin' Dots. She thinks they're disgusting.
Why? Abby.
She reveals your secret.
They remind me of being a kid. Like at the, does anyone remember Camp Snoopy? Any Minnesotans here? Oh, Nick, I forgot. Yeah, Nick, went at the Mall of America. There used to be an amusement park called Camp Snoopy before it was corporatized to Nickelodeon.
Corporatized.
Yes, Puppet Denise can get political. Now it's a Nickelodeon universe. I mean, I guess Camp Snoopy still has an aura of, marketing, but it's local. It's Charles Schultz. He's from St. Paul. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they used to have Dippin' Dots there, and then you can go bounce around inside Snoopy as a bounce house. Mm-hmm.
Was it a
okay? Hannah, what were you saying?
Oh, it was a question about the bounce house, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, we can talk about it later. All right, I derailed us a bit, but it is nice to Sean, don't laugh. It is nice to hear who's all here, and people might be joining as we continue. We should also say that we are recording this since we are not using Facebook Live for people to join in, whenever they want or just to view without speaking. So we may air this at some point just so people can see what we're doing, what we're reading. All right, so thank you again for coming. And for the purposes of the recording, I'm going to say what KidLitLab is. Unless one of our students wants to describe KidLitLab. Hannah.
Called out.
And if I missed anything, you can fill in. I would describe KidLitLab as a group of people who we come in, meet every couple weeks, and we talk about children's literature, and we write our own books and stories individually and together, and it's a really fun time. We've been meeting since September, I think.
That's true. Yeah, I think that timeline is right. Because you took a class with Puppet Denise.
I did, yes.
Puppet Denise has classes?
No, just real Denise.
Oh.
Not as fun. as you have witnessed real Denise and now Puppet Denise, you can tell Puppet Denise has a little more charisma. Sarah, would you like to say anything about KidLitLab?
I would just describe it as a creative space for students who love literature, children's and otherwise, I guess. It's fun. It's cool.
Cool. Okay, so I have like a little spiel that I'm going to read. Nick and Sean, feel free to interject. But KidLitLab is a children's lit workshop, and it's for student writers at the the University of Minnesota. We're housed in the Curriculum and Instruction Department, and we're funded by the Maureen Odlin Big, Small Fellowship in Children's Literature. Our mission is to transform and decolonize literature by co-learning, co-teaching, and co-creating with each other. Does that sound right? Cool. And before we move on, we especially want to thank our local artists for engaging with KidLitLab. We've had a lot of artists joining us throughout, since September. Andrew Young actually created our mascot. I can never say this word. Nick, help me out.
Parasaurolophus.
Parasaurolophus. It's a type of dinosaur, and it's our mascot for KidLitLab, created by Andrew Young. Anna Laura Juarez, shout out to Anna. Or Anna, oh my God, I keep doing that, I'm so sorry. Anna Laura Juarez helped us with screen printing recently. So we all have these great shirts. Nick, do you have one of the shirts? I was gonna wear it, but then I forgot.
Sarah's wearing it.
Sarah, are you wearing it? Yay! You look great. Anna helped us with screen printing. And in the past, we've had guest artists like Akiko Osland and Danielle Christensen and Jacob Yates. And today, I just saw that Saymoukda Vongsay just joined us. Hi, Mooks. Yay, okay, great. So the agenda today is pretty simple. We're going to be reading from a few of our books, and we're encouraging people to ask questions on the chat, but I feel like it's actually been working pretty well for you to ask questions in the meeting as well. You know, I feel good about it. How about you, Nick and Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And before we move on, Nick and Sean and I are the ones who kind of try to listen to what our students want and put these events together from week to week. Is that fair to say, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So for today, we have a few students reading. We have Hannah Coffey. Hannah, say hi, yay. Hannah's reading. Saymoukda Vongsay will also be reading an excerpt from her book, When Everything Was Everything. Hi, Mooks. And Sarah Kopp-Reddy will also be reading. Sarah. And finally, Rebecca Sanchez will also be reading from her book today. Yay. All right, so first, we will start with Hannah and her book, Unicow. Silent round of applause for Hannah.
So this is my book, Unicow. And I'm gonna, reading time. Okay. Hi, I'm Unicow. I haven't been a Unicow forever though. When I was little, I was just
pictures too.
Yes, I don't know if I think if I do this, then it will be backwards for me. So I think I'm gonna read it and then I'll flip it after each page.
Okay, great.
When I was little, I was just a cow. Let me tell you how I got here. Cows like to be in herds. This means we stick together, look out for each other, and keep each other safe. Sometimes I had a hard time sticking with the herd. I tried my best to stick with the group, but it was really hard. One day, I got pretty lost.
Oh no, Unicow's all alone.
I felt scared and lonely. I walked around for a while, and I found a patch of flowers. So then I made myself a flower crown. I splashed around in the lake, I rolled around in the mud, and I splashed in the lake some more. One day, I saw my reflection in the water. My spots were colorful, not just black and white, and my tail was pink. And in between my ears was a sparkly rainbow horn. I was a unicow, and I was beautiful. But I still missed the herd. I wanted to go back, but I didn't know what they would think. I went back to the flower patch where I made my first crown. I knew that this would be close to the pasture. With a fresh crown for my journey, I was off on my way. Then I saw the herd, and I got scared again. Cows don't always like change. What if they didn't like me? I kept moving. I got closer and closer, and then I saw one of my old friends coming towards me. What would she say? Your crown is so beautiful. Can you teach me how to make one? Yeah, for sure. I felt so relieved. Let's go find some flowers. As we walked, she told me, we really missed you. We didn't know where you had gone. I was worried about you. Honestly, I didn't know if I wanted to come back. I thought the herd wouldn't like me because I was so different. She invited me back to the herd. I have to show you something. So off we went. The herd seems like a lot of the same, but we're all different. We have brown spots, black spots, big spots, small spots, and no spots. We're big and small, young and old, and none of our moos sound the same. I'm different too, but I like that, and I belong here. There's Unicow.
Thank you, Hannah. Hooray! Cheers for Hannah. We love it. Okay. Thank you for reading us your story, Hannah. We have a few questions that we want to ask you. And you know what, everyone, if you have questions for Hannah, you can ask them to her too, either through audio or through the chat, and I can read them, whichever way you want. But I have a few questions. You ready, Hannah?
Yeah.
Hannah, how did Unicow come to be?
Unicow, so I have, in my real life as Hannah, I have a unicorn costume and a cow costume that I wear for different holidays and things. And one day me and my friends were joking around, and I had the idea of what if I wore both costumes at the same time, and then I could be Unicow. And so that is kind of where I came up with the idea for the character. And then when I was in Puppet Denise or Real Denise's class, we were all writing books, and I had this character in my mind, and then I knew that I wanted to make a story about a cow that turned into a unicorn, or turned into like a partial unicorn. So that was kind of where the idea came from, and then from there, it took a while to come up with the story, and then I wrote it out, added the pictures, and then I put it all together and made the book.
Beautiful. I think your dog also kind of looks like Unicow, right?
Yeah, so my dog looks like a cow. So like originally, yeah, I don't even know how it all happened, but yes.
I love it. All right. Okay, and now I have a couple questions for Unicow. Do you think Unicow would be able to answer them?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Unicow.
Yes.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I think in 10 years, I will be hanging out with my herd, and we'll just be having fun. I think that personally, I might want to write more stories about my life, but I haven't gotten there yet. But hopefully in 10 years, there'll be maybe a couple more.
Interesting. Okay, one more question for Unicow.
Yes.
Unicow, what is your favorite pizza?
That's a hard one. Unicow just told me that she doesn't eat cheese. So any pizza without cheese, I think. And her favorite pizza topping is grass.
Wow.
Tasty.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Mooks approves. See that thumbs up? Mooks is into it. We should all go get pizza with Unicow sometime.
I think that sounds like a great idea.
I'm so excited.
Unicow would like
I would love that. Okay, it's on the radar. I'm not
Hey,
gonna
put a question in the chat, guys.
Ooh.
We
Okay,
have Eli that
Okay,
would
Sean, go.
like. We have Eli, and he would like to share his story, The Five-Horned Unicorn, with Hannah and Denise, because Unicow and the Five-Horned Unicorn might have some strong similarities and might be able to create a dope partnership and like really kill it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes. I would absolutely, I think that sounds awesome. I would love that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and maybe a five-horned unicorn and Unicow in conversation.
Yes.
That sounds perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Eli, absolutely.
Yes, we will figure out how to arrange this and meet on the astral plane somehow.
I love it. Thank you, Eli. That is a wonderful idea. All right. Oh, any other questions for Unicow?
I have a question for Unicow. Unicow, what is your favorite story?
Unicow's favorite story is, I don't know. I don't know if she knows. I think I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that, Sean.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of stories out there.
There's so many.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Nick, any questions for Unicow?
I'm curious to know what Unicow does when it rains, because it's rainy right now.
She kind of just hangs out. She doesn't love the rain, but sometimes she likes to roll around. She likes to roll around in the lake and the mud and the puddles. So like after the rain is like really the best time. And then the grass gets extra green.
Yes.
Perfect.
Nice. Okay. I wonder if Mooks has any questions for Unicow. Saymoukda Vongsay is actually reading next. But before she begins reading, I think I'm going to ask her, Mooks, do you have any questions for Unicow?
Okay. I don't have a puppet.
You're your own puppet. Okay.
Unicow, are you accepting friend requests on Facebook right now?
Unicow and Unicow's human do not have Facebook accounts, but
okay.
Yeah.
What about Instagram? Are you on Instagram?
I am. Yes, I will message you my account name.
Perfect.
I would absolutely follow Unicow on Instagram. I would follow Unicow anywhere to the ends of the earth, but also on Instagram. Mm-hmm. You should see if the Unicow Instagram handle is taken yet. If not, you should take that like right now.
Smart. I'm gonna do that right now.
Yeah. Go look right now. That's your Okay, Mooks, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we're so excited to have Saymoukda Vongsay here with us reading. Yay, everyone give a semi-silent cheer for Mooks.
Okay, this is...
Oh, look, I have one too. Mooks, I have one too.
This is my book. It's called When Everything Was Everything. And this is my face.
Beautiful. I love it. Yes, Saymoukda Vongsay. Mooks, you know, you are so many things.
I am. Yeah.
You're a refugenius, I'm told. You're also a Lao playwright and poet and writer, and I don't know what else. What else, Mooks?
Well, when people pay me, I become an installation artist. Otherwise, I don't do it.
Oh, that's right. You're doing homies.
Trying to get money.
Yeah, haikus for homies right now. Is that what you're doing?
For homies. I'm a public artist. So I created this. My husband made this giant poetry board. He took this piece of wood that we had in our garage and he spray painted the black chalk paint. And so it's posted outside of our gate facing the community garden / walking path for our neighborhood. And every few days I go out there and I write a new haiku. Sometimes my son has a hand in it too. And the haiku gets all smushy. So when that happens, it's collaborative and I just let it happen.
That's the way to go.
Yeah,
that's
it's
you know, I think the first thing I ever saw you do was Lao Hmong friendship play or Hmong Lao friendship play with Mei Li Yang.
Yes.
And it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen ever.
Good. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're so excited to have you here today because one of the things that you've also been doing or have done recently is write your children's book.
Yes.
When everything was everything. And we'd love to hear a little bit from When Everything Was Everything before we talk a little bit more. Is that okay?
That'd be great. Thank you. Yeah. And thank you, Hannah, for your story. I love it. Try to get Unicow crown too, because the crown, and that could be like a way of being or like, you know, empowerment. I love it. Okay. This is When Everything Was Everything. It is written by myself and illustrated by Corey Lynn. When Everything Was Everything. 1, food stamps in my pockets, $2 worth of now and laters. Green saliva couldn't swallow quick enough. Standing nervous, red light on Dale Street. Crossed the bridge over Highway 94, trekking back to St. Albans. Candy wrappers clenched tight. I waved goodbye to Tiger Jack. Two, every Friday, Bit opens the screen door and announces, Palmala, Palmala. All afternoon we've waited. In my father's tan Isuzu truck, we drove to Hudson. Mom buys lottery tickets for her, giant Slurpees for us. My brother Bit likes the blue ones. They stain his tongue so good, he makes a point to show me every time. Mm-hmm. On the way home, Mom spends imaginary millions in out loud daydreams. Blue lips smiling, my brother Bit tells me that we are like kings in Dad's gold chariot. I agreed. 3, bowl haircuts. Red handle scissors. Trauma.
I should have given Puppet Denise a bowl haircut.
It's not too late.
No.
I think like everyone is trying to do their hair during quarantine, and it's interesting.
Mooks, did I tell you I cut bangs? I did it. I gave myself the pandemic bangs.
I bet it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
4, holding my Korean blanket rolled under my arms, Dad carried trash bags, everything we owned, slung over his shoulders. My tiny feet tired from walking 12 blocks to our new home. Stopping every other block, he asks me, "Ila, nyangda yuba?" Every time, looking up, forcing a smile, "Doi, ipa." Five, 692 North Street, St. Paul, 250 Oxford Street, North St. Paul, 308 North St. Albans, St. Paul, 3634 15th Avenue South, Minneapolis, 1090 York Avenue, St. Paul, 130 Bates Avenue, St. Paul.
I live in St. Paul.
St. Paul? If you live in St. Paul, pat your head. St. Paul. And I'll read one more stanza. 6, Mani itu, Bet says. I follow him to his first grade classroom, passing cubbies, watercolor family portraits, and a picture of Jesus Christ. He lifts up the lid of his school desk, number 2 pencils with bite marks, color crayons, and 2 small boxes of sun-made raisins. He hands me one and smiles, showing his teeth. And I'll stop there because it goes on forever.
32 pages?
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Yay! That was beautiful, Mooks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, oh, I see. Yes, people are saying clap, 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 clap in the chat. Nice. So, Mooks, I also have a few questions for you, and people might too. My first question is, how did your book come to be?
When I was little and I would go to the library at my school, or I would go to bookstores, I didn't see books, children's books with pictures of Asian girls on the cover. And because of that, I just felt a bit sad. But, you know, being 7 years old, 8 years old, you don't have the language or whatever to understand. It was just like, oh, that's a bummer, right? So that's one reason, and it just really stayed with me. So I wrote this poem basically about my family and about growing up in St. Paul. And when I had the chance to make a picture book out of the poem, I jumped at it because I wanted to see a book about me out there in the world and people who may have similar experiences as me, especially someone if you're, you know, can relate to being a former refugee and then coming to America when you're younger and then having to navigate, learn new languages, eat different types of food, make friends while you don't speak English, and living in a household where there's 2 languages being spoken, so you have to learn both, and then you have to go out in the world and learn English. So that's really why I wanted this book out in the world.
That's amazing. And I see that Sarah said, oh wait, Sean, can you read it? I forgot you're doing that.
So Sarah said this was also relatable too in St. Paul because people move houses a lot, right? So we had the theme of Saymoukda moving and moving and moving. So I love that that's just another access point too. Sarah was able to find connection across the story.
Thank you. I'm glad you picked that up. Some of the kids that I've read this to in their classrooms, they get excited because they're like, hey, I know where that house is. And so they feel like just pride about their neighborhood that it's mentioned in a book. And I didn't think that would be a significant thing, but representing.
It's beautiful.
Where could we buy a copy of that book?
Let me see. I think there are copies. You could go to Red Balloon, Majors and Quinn in Uptown, Moon Palace, Milk Week.
I definitely saw it at Moon Palace.
Different places. Don't try to buy it on Amazon if you can. But if you can,
I would never.
Yeah, and if you are not able to, I'm not judging.
No, I wouldn't buy it on Amazon. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just too much lately. Too much. Okay, great. Mooks, I have another question.
Okay.
What do you wish you had known about writing when you were young?
Oh, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I was not ready. Oh, okay. That feels like a grant funder question.
No!
So deep.
There are children in the audience question.
Let's see. What did I wish I had known? You know, I really, I wish that someone had told me much earlier, way earlier than 5th grade, that that I could write in whatever way I wanted to write. I say that because it wasn't until I was in the 6th grade that everyone found out that I have dyslexia. And so that basically means I see words a little messed up, a little squiggly sometimes or backwards. And that really messes with how I read and write. And that's why I think I really leaned towards poetry, because poetry, you could be fragmented and you can do all type of things. And it's okay. So remember that, young writers, write whatever way you want. Write whatever way that makes you feel strong and courageous and happy, and just do that. Yeah.
That's great, Mooks. I think that's why I gravitate towards poetry. Well, not specifically why, but like I was an ESL kid, you know, in elementary school, and grammar could be tough for me when I was young. So I think with poetry, I started noticing that the rules were very different, as in sometimes there are no rules. You could decide what you wanted to say, and the emphasis often was on emotion.
Right.
So it felt like a different access point to language.
Yeah, I love poetry. I was also an ESL, English as a Second Language, or English learner, whatever they call it now, until 6th grade. And they kept like putting me in it. And I'm like, I speak English fine now, let me go. But it was cool because in a way I get to hang out with all my friends and got to leave social studies. So whatever.
Yeah.
I'm good now.
It's complex. They took me out in 4th grade, and that meant a lot of my friends were in it through 6th or 8th grade, and they're all still friends.
Oh.
Assimilated. It's okay. Okay, that's for another time. Okay, that's great advice. Write however you want.
Yes.
Okay, one more question from me. And if you have any other questions for Mooks, feel free to ask them. But here's my last question. What advice do you have for first-time writers in general?
First-time writers. I say that the moment you feel that you have a story to tell and you put it down onto paper or into your computer or iPad, you are a writer and you are a storyteller. And I tell you to just keep writing, don't stop. Even if you're writing, I don't know what I'm writing, write that. That could be a story, you never know. Or turn it into a haiku. People will appreciate it. They will think it's deep. So keep writing and don't throw away any writing. Keep all the little snippets of writing that you have that you feel do not have a place to live in the moment. Keep that in like a safe shoebox. Make that shoebox your writing toolbox, right? You can just throw little snippets of writing in there. And then someday when you feel like you want to write maybe a play, you need inspiration, you can pull it out of that shoebox and then you could kind of just go off that little thing. And who knows what you could be creating. You could be an award-winning novel. Who knows? Mm-hmm.
And who knows what it's sparking in different parts of your brain and your memory, right?
Yes.
Because that came from something that happened before.
Yep.
I saw a lot of thumbs ups and claps all around the Zoom when you were saying that. People really resonated.
Good. I'm glad I'm saying good things.
Very encouraging. Yes, I mean, you know, we notice as teachers who are teaching this diversity in KidLit class, which is a writing intensive technically, people get really nervous, you know, about writing and being judged for their writing and being graded for their writing. And we have to remind people that what we care about is opening that door to creativity. That's the most important thing. Right, Nick?
Agreed. And if I might segue into a question that I have, is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So first, thank you so much for reading. That was awesome. I'm thinking about some of the challenges students face when they're going to write, particularly if they don't see themselves as writers. And then the idea for these students of writing a picture book is even more daunting because they get really nervous about making visual art for that book. So as someone who has published a picture book, what would you say to somebody who is nervous about both writing and illustrating for the first time?
Ooh, yes. Well, one, be proud of yourself. You are writing and illustrating. I can only do one thing. If I draw, it's gonna be stick figures. And even then it's gonna be like, not good. So already you have two advantages, right? I think it's okay to be scared a little bit or to be nervous about what you're putting out there into the world or what the world is how they're going to react to it. Because I think that just means you care about what you're doing. Do know that, you know, your story needs to exist out there. What you're creating needs to exist out there because it's gonna affect someone. It's going to impact someone, right? Maybe not everybody, and that's okay. Because you're not writing for everybody. You're writing for people who want to connect with it heart to heart with your work. Rejections are gonna happen, and that's okay. You just gotta keep it moving. One advice I got from a mentor was when I first started writing poetry and plays and all the other things, they told me that I should be professionally stalking my favorite writers. And that means go to their events, support them, get their books, read their stuff, look at their resumes and their CVs and see where they've gone and taken workshops. See where they've, you know, published their short stories and things like that. Because maybe if your work is similar enough to theirs and the magazine that published their piece, they might want your piece too, right? So that's something. My son is here. Rasan. Say hi, Rasan.
I respond.
Yeah, hi. He's in the book too. He's right here with his papa.
Hi.
This was when we worked on the book. It was in 2018, and it got published a year after that. So at that time, he was maybe 4 months old. So that's him.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that. I love that. Oh, I see him in the back too.
Yeah.
That's great.
And now he's 2 years old.
Wow.
And bad.
I'm sure that.
Go, Daddy. Daddy.
That's really good advice, Mooks. And you know what? I think I'm professionally stalking you a little bit.
Oh, that's okay. I like it.
I can tell.
Yeah. I like it when people do it.
Yeah. It's not human Denise. It's puppet Denise.
Oh, what did you find out?
Only the puppet is stalking you. Human Denise is being regular.
Oh,
Any other questions? I see that Hannah said that drawing the pictures was her favorite part. Was the favorite part of making Unicow. Very encouraging. Very encouraging.
Eli said that he is better at drawing, but mom disagrees. And then Hannah responded saying that she really liked drawing the pictures for Unicow. So maybe there's a whole collaboration too with drawing 5-horned unicorns and Unicow, and like creating a whole world of like unicorn species with you two, like collaboration.
There are entire picture books that don't have any words, and the entire story is all through the pictures.
Yeah.
So many different kinds of picture books, so many ways to do anything. So I feel like the moral might be do you, right? Do what you want. Be true.
Yes.
Great. Well, if you end up having any more questions for Mooks, let us know. But I think we're ready to move on to the next reading with Sarah Kopp-Reddy. Sarah, are you ready?
I'm ready. So
All right.
I actually have a question for all of you guys. I have 3 books here. All right. They're all, well, 2 of them are perennial classics because it's what I had. And then the third is written by a friend of mine when he was in 4th grade. So you get to choose which one. So we've got Go Dog Go, you know, regular old Go Dog Go. Where the Wild Things Are. Beautiful book. Might be a little long for what we're doing right now. And Funny Idioms.
Oh, I know which one I want. Oh, Sarah, do you even have to ask?
I mean, I figured this was the one, but you know.
Funny idioms. Funny idioms.
Yeah. This is not fair.
Yeah, I want to second that motion.
Okay, so this was written in 2006 by a one Tyler Simons, who is a friend of mine. Okay. So funny idioms. Funny idioms. This book is dedicated to my mom for Mother's Day.
Oh,
he calls himself Tiger Simons in this. Tiger Simons. Okay. In a pickle. Some of these drawings are very strange and very good. In a pickle. Meaning, in trouble, in an unpleasant situation. Butterflies in the stomach. He's lying on a table, he's got butterflies in there. Meaning, a weird feeling caused by fear or nervousness. I'm feeling blue. Meaning, I'm sad. Open a can of worms. Meaning, started a lot of trouble that will be hard to fix. Don't spill the beans. Meaning, don't tell the secret. Give it a shot. So that's the word it, getting a shot. Meaning, try it. Your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Meaning, you ask for a lot of food and then you can't eat it all. Let's eat some grub. Meaning, let's eat dinner. Shake a leg. Meaning, hurry up. On top of the world. Meaning, feeling extremely happy because of something you have accomplished. To get up on the wrong side of the day, which I've never heard before. Meaning, to be grumpy. This is my favorite one. Crocodile tears. Meaning, fake crying. That's all, folks.
Yay!
I was very, very impressed by that book.
Sarah, what's your favorite idiom from that book?
There's one that's described very, very funnily. Oh, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. This one.
Let's look closer.
Bug eyes.
Oh, I have spoon eyes.
What?
I said I have spoon eyes. Is that an expression?
Spoon eyes? What does that mean? Oh, they're made of spoons. Spoon eyes. I wonder if that's some kind of expression about eating too much.
Can we make it one?
Definitely.
Okay. I
expect some real spoon eyes.
I expect everyone to come out of this meeting today. Tell one person that they have spoon eyes. Okay?
Will do.
All right. Sarah?
Yes.
Do you have any words of advice for students who are writing, or children who are writing for the first time, or drawing?
So I took diversity in children's literature last semester, and I wrote my own book, and a lot of it, so it's about mental health, and a lot of it just came to me. I will say, putting things into a succinct and leveled language is difficult. That's probably where I struggled the most. Also, to make things, you have spoon eyes, I like that. To make things like flowery that aren't necessarily flowery is hard for me because I'm a pretty blunt person. So I tend to just go for the like punch, and it's not necessarily where you want to be in a children's book. So that was difficult as well. But honestly, my biggest advice would just be to do it. Just try it, put something down, go from there.
Oh, that's really interesting to hear, Sarah. You know what? I'm actually curious what Mooks is thinking right now with that expression she's got. Especially because I think of Mooks as a pretty punchy person as well. Look at that. Mooks, do you encounter issues like that in your writing? And how do you deal with it?
Can you repeat that? There were people in the fort screaming So,
Oh, Sarah was talking about how she's a blunt person and she likes to go for the punch, you know, when she's writing. So she struggled when she was writing her children's book with flowery language. Is that right, Sarah?
Yep.
Yeah. Mooks, do you struggle with expectations like that? And how do you handle it?
I've learned to kind of, I guess, operate with different hats depending on what I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm writing, let's say, a grant, it's very technical language. But when I'm doing creative writing, poetry, or my short stories, I just let whatever comes out, comes out. If it doesn't want to be flowery, that's okay. Because do you.
Yeah.
What you write, there's gonna be somebody that's gonna be like, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. And I'm so glad someone said it.
I do feel like in the realm of creative, just saying what you want to say is more important than like trying to make it appropriate for an age group or, you know, whatever. Like it's,
yeah,
you know, because kids understand things. People understand things.
They do. And something to keep in mind, like, yes, you know, as writers, we have creative license. As artists, we do. What I always tell my playwriting students is that write whatever you want and write whatever comes to your heart. But know that there's this responsibility that you have. If you create something and put it out there and it maybe offends somebody or maybe someone has questions about it, you have to be prepared to have that discussion with them. Otherwise, it wasn't worthy of having been put out into the world. But does that make sense? So I'm not saying that punchy stuff is gonna offend anybody, because it's not. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
But in case there's someone out there who gets offended by punchy, and I'm laughing because that just sounds silly. But.
Yeah.
You do you, Sarah.
I feel like you're both talking about artistic integrity, like different facets of an artistic integrity, right? Honesty, responsibility, conversation, like all of these things are important, and it's about how do we balance all of that, right? Yeah. That's great. That's great. Do we have any other questions for Sarah?
I have.
Go ahead, Hannah.
Oh, sorry. Well, this isn't a question this is about the book. And I know that your friend isn't here, but maybe if you could pass this along. I love that book because when I was a kid, adults would always be saying things like that and like using different phrases that like weren't literal. And I would just be like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. And if I had a book that was like, here's a thing that people say and here's what they mean, I feel like it would have been really helpful too.
So from what I understand, it was a project in this young person's 4th grade class. And I think everyone had to do it, or like some variation on that project, where they talk about idioms or turns of phrase or whatever, and explain them.
Well, I love it. I love that he still has
that. I thought it was so cool. I was like, yeah, well, that's awesome.
It's actually really useful for refugees too. Like, you know, if you're learning language and people are saying like all this stuff, it's like, what is happening? We actually had an idiom dictionary in my house as a kid when I was younger, and my parents would sometimes ask me like, what is this? Because it just didn't make sense, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something you don't really think about. There are so many as a native English speaker, you don't think about it because there are just so many of them. Like there are an insane number of idioms, colloquialisms, like just weird little dialectical goofy crap, and like you just don't think about it until you're like, hold up, what is that? You know?
Totally. Nick, do you have one final question for Sarah?
I do. Sarah, because I've gotten to know you as someone who is creative in multiple different mediums, I'm wondering what creative projects are inspiring you now, or if there's anything coming up for you that you're thinking about starting.
I have actually been sewing a ton. So I started off making some masks just because it's needed. And I got really into that, and I've been working with my partner now to make some garments. So I'm making some pants, he's making some tops. We're just moving along. Honestly, it's a really good way to fill the day because there's a lot of creative problem solving, especially when you're not really working from a pattern. And that's actually something that was a passion of mine when I was a kid. I used to make dresses out of like toilet paper and stuff, and pretend that they were wedding gowns or ball gowns. And so now I have fabric, which is good. But it's really taking me back to when I was like a kid, and it's awesome.
Nice. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, next up, last but not least, we have Rebecca Sanchez reading from her beautiful, beautiful book. Are we ready, everyone? Yeah.
Okay. My book is called The Body You Live In, and it is, I took a lot of inspiration from The Skin You Live In, if anyone has read that children's book. This has a similar format, and it's kind of like a poem just like that one. Hey, look at your body from your head to your toes, your knees to your elbows, to your lips, to your nose. What a wonderful body you live in. The body you soar in, the body you want more in, the body you tumble and rumble and roar in. The body you fall in, the body you ball in, the body you must remember to stand tall in. The body you giggle in, the body you wiggle in, the body you tickle and howl and wriggle in. The body you kiss in, the body you miss in, the body you wish and wonder and reminisce in. Its alligator chomping body, its mind stomping body, its erupting volcano and squeezing fist thumping body. Its ocean sea wave calm body, its forgive and forgave body, its not always muscles to be brave body. Its bursting with delight body, starry summer night body. Chicken wings dinner with a ravenous appetite body. Its nightlight and blankie body. Its one-eyed monster fright body. It's close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths tonight body. 1, 2, 3. Bye, monster.
I love it.
It's spilled milk, flushed cheeks body. Remember it for weeks body. Embarrassed and meek body. It's big body and tall body, short body. Oh, wait, sorry. Big body and small body, short body and tall body. It's chubby body and skinny body, both and in the middle body. It's bald body and hairy body. We love you very body. It's dark body and light body. This perfect oh so right body. It's speech body and sign body. Your voice and mind body. It's walking and wheeling by, crutches, walkers, and feeling body. It's sight body and touch body. This is how we learn so much body. Cherish your body with its wisdom and smarts. Your body that keeps you safe, that fixes all your hurting parts. Cherish your body that shows you how you feel and what you need. When to ask an adult for help or when to lead. Notice your heart beating in your chest, how your belly fills up when you take a deep breath. This is how much your body loves you. And
yay! Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
I love it. I'm biased, but I love it. For real. Yes, Rebecca was in my section this semester, and I just was so excited to see this book come together. Nick even dropped off magazines for Rebecca to collage with during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Rebecca was like, how am I going to get these illustrations together? Collage. Yeah, it looks great, Rebecca. I love it.
Thank you.
Would you like to answer some questions? I'm going to ask you some.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So, what would you like to share maybe about your process? How did you decide on a story, on the way to do it?
Well, this past semester, I guess, I've become really passionate about social emotional learning. So I wanted to write a book that would like represent a broad range of emotions that I don't typically see represented in children's literature, like feeling embarrassed and missing someone. And I wanted to represent those emotions in ways that would counteract stereotypes of who is allowed to represent those emotions, and which emotions are acceptable. And when I was writing this, I was considering. I work with preschoolers. I work at a Head Start center. So I was considering my preschoolers in this, and I was thinking about how I don't often see a lot of children in children's literature books that wear like hijabs, for example, and there's a lot of kids in my preschool that do. So I was thinking about how I wanted them to see themselves in the book that I would write. And there's also a boy in one of my preschool classrooms that has a hearing aid. So I put one character in here that had a hearing aid, and I tried to make it like really visible so that if I, like, for example, if I would be reading that, then he would notice that and he'd be like, oh, I see that. So that's me, you know, like with that article that we read in class about the seeing yourself in like as a mirror. So I wanted to do that, and like with the social emotional learning, I know that when you're able to recognize an emotion and you're able to name it, then you're better able to manage it. And so I know that self-regulation is really important for preschoolers, and especially the preschoolers at my center. So I wanted to promote that. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And that's love. That's very loving. I love that.
Thank you.
Okay. I have another question. What was it like turning a poem into a picture book?
It was kind of, I mean, it was really fun, but it was kind of hard. Like it wasn't just a linear process. I was like writing like different, like I didn't write it like in order. I kind of just wrote like a section at a time, and then I would like go write the section before that, and then it's just like it was difficult too, because then I realized after I was writing it that I had to consider like which words go on which pages, and then you have to consider like the flow of the language, and like how many pictures can like fit in one page, for example, too. So but it was really enjoyable too, because I write poetry separate from this. So I had a fun time. I haven't written a poem in a long time, so it was good to get that out of me.
Yay. Happy to hear.
Thank
And
you.
lastly, from me, we'll take other questions for Rebecca if we have them. Do you have any words of advice for students?
For students, I mean, if you're doing a collage like me, I would like to recommend that you use Mod Podge instead of glue sticks, because I was using glue sticks to glue all the stuff down, and they just kept peeling, and I was getting really frustrated. And so my friend mailed me this in the pandemic. You know, she put it in the mail and she mailed me the Mod Podge. So it's like yeah, it helps a lot, and most of them haven't peeled by now, which is really nice. So if anyone is going to use a collage format like I did, I would recommend to use Mod Podge.
Amazing. So basically what you created is a dummy, a picture book dummy. You're ready to go.
Yeah, and now I feel like I kind of feel inspired, like I want to like write a children's book about, like my last page, you know, I was talking about the wisdom of the body. So now I kind of want to write a children's book about recognizing your body's cues and like what and interpreting them and what they mean. Like one of my classes this semester, we read this, like I have it, but I'm not gonna grab it, whatever. We read this textbook. It was really amazing in my social emotional learning class, and there was this chapter about like atypical behaviors, you know, in like children with autism, and about how when they're doing things like stimming and stuff, we shouldn't try to just stop the behavior without understanding like the underlying causes. And I was thinking of writing a book about like recognizing when you're doing that and thinking like, what is this telling me about like what I need right now, etc. So thinking about that now.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Beautiful. That's given me so much to think about. I'm always trying to figure out what I feel in my body.
Me too.
I'm saying it through a puppet, but I mean it.
Puppets have bodies too.
It's true. It's true. Okay. Do we have any other questions for Rebecca at all? Nick? Don?
I have one, but first I want to express my joy at the flaps.
Yeah.
That was wonderful.
Thanks. It's just a post-it note.
No, thank you for reading, Rebecca. That was amazing. And I'm wondering, because you wrote this and illustrated this with a specific group in mind, if you have any plans post social distancing, once we get back together in person, if this is something you would read to that group.
Well, the thing I would love to, but I think that see, our kids, a lot of them are going to kindergarten, and then they're probably not going to be in our same classroom. So it's kind of this whole the whole quarantine stay-at-home thing has been kind of tough, because it was just sudden that we didn't go back to our classrooms, and we didn't like have any end of the year celebration or any kind of like closure to this. So it's like I don't think that I will see those kids again for the most part, unless I'm in the same classroom with them again. But I don't think that there's any like guarantee of that happening. So
is it possible to do an online reading with them?
I guess I could. Maybe I'll like share this like, are we gonna post this on Facebook? Because I can maybe share it with like some of the families. Maybe.
I think we need to talk about it, but because originally we were going to go Facebook Live, and then technical difficulties. So I think we are recording right now, and we're trying to figure out what's the best way to share it. We could put it on YouTube, for example.
And then, well, whatever works. Yeah.
Yay. I'm excited. I love that it's for a specific group of people. I feel like when a story is for someone, you can tell, you know, in a good way.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Lovely. Hooray. Thank you everyone for reading today and making time to come and hang out with us. One of the reasons why we did this is because we also were sad that we couldn't get together in person. and finish our stories and spend time with each other. And it's just nice to see all your faces. Okay. The last thing that we want to do is to have a closing, and Nick Kleese is actually going to help us out with our closing, right, Nick?
That's right, Puppet Denise. Thank you. So first, again, thank you all for sharing. It was good to have young people on this too.
They lasted about 45 minutes. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Longer than my cats did.
Yeah.
So by way of closing, I wanted to do two things. One, I'm inspired to read something very short too. So I want to read just one section from this book, Where Is It Coming From?, which is written by second graders from the Boggs School in Detroit. And this is a book I always read.
Grace Lee Boggs?
What's that?
Like James and Grace Lee Boggs?
Yes. And I always read this on the first day of class when we ask what is children's literature, and I ask, is this children's literature? I think it is. This is Untitled by Johnny DeFries. Mars farted slowly on Earth. Aliens ate lava rocks because they were hungry, but now they were full of hot gas. And farted. And I love that story because in teaching children's literature, we take it very seriously. And there are very serious social issues that we raise questions about and try to address. But at the same time, it's very playful and we take our play very seriously. So I think that's a nice end cap. But the other thing I'm inspired to do is because we met so many wonderful characters and stories. I feel inspired to internalize those somehow or enact those somehow. So what I propose we do as a way of signing off together is to imagine ourselves, I think, as our favorite animal, because this was front-ended with Unicow and the five-horned unicorn. So take a moment and think of your favorite animal. And then on the count of three, I'm going to ask us to become that animal. So if I'm thinking of a deer, I'm going to be deer, or frog, I'll be frog. So does everybody have an animal in mind? If you don't have an animal, you can always be deer. You can be deer.
No, give them a minute. Give them a minute. Nick, what's your animal?
Oh, it's going to be deer.
Oh.
It can be deer.
I'm a water buffalo. How do I show that I'm a water buffalo?
I see it right there. You're a water buffalo.
This it?
Yeah, you're a water buffalo. Where did Puppet Denise go? Has anyone seen Puppet Denise? There's just a water buffalo there. I hope Puppet Denise comes back. Does everyone else have an animal?
I'm here.
Oh, there she is. There she is. Okay, good. Okay. This will be a two-step process, by the way. But first, we're going to be our animal. Are y'all ready?
Everyone have their animal now?
Yes.
Mooks? Mooks is frozen, maybe. Oh.
It's hard because I don't. My favorite animal is Rasan, my son.
Yeah. And I should clarify too, your animal can be human, non-human, or mythical. That opens things up.
Yeah, what's your zodiac, Mooks?
Capricorn.
But like you're like Chinese or
Rooster.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Okay. Everyone has an animal?
Yes.
Okay. On the count of three, we're going to become that animal. 1, 2, 3. That is amazing. All right, perfect. So many wonderful animals. And again, inspired by the wonder and magic of the stories you've heard today, now that we are this animal, I want you to think of a magical power that that animal has. So for instance, if I'm deer, maybe my deer has the power to snow.
Mine's shooting lasers.
Or to fly, or to shoot lasers. Whatever.
I was roly-poly.
What's its power, Sean?
Harden.
Okay. So take a minute, think about what you want your animal's power to be.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. And if you are looking for a power, it could even be something like spreading joy. Okay. So on the count of 3, we'll become our animal with its magical power.
And release into the universe.
Release it into the universe. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Harden.
Okay. That brought me a lot of joy, and I hope it did to you all too. So I'll turn it over to Denise for the final sign off, but thank you all again for coming today.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming. We hope to really see you again soon. We're gonna take the summer to plan and try to figure out how are we gonna keep going with KidLitLab in the fall. Because diversity in children's literature will still be there. Those classes will still be taught. We just might have to do it online. We're not sure yet. And we want to keep meeting. We want to keep writing. We want to keep having guest artists like Mooks come in and give amazing advice, read their beautiful books, and just share together. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
Bye.